Several years ago, after finishing my engineering degree, I started working at a local chemical plant. The job wasn't flashy, but it was stable, and over time, I worked my way up. Eventually, I was offered a management position at one of the company's largest research centers, requiring us to move 1,000 miles away. The pay was great, and even though it meant leaving behind our life, Tracy and I were excited for the change. We left family, friends, and everything familiar, hoping this move would strengthen our relationship. Soon after settling in, Tracy started working at a call center and quickly became close with her coworkers. Their social circle became ours, and we spent most of our time with her new friends. I thought our marriage was solid, that we were building a good life together. Little did I know things were beginning to fall apart. "Where did you get this?" she asked, shocked. "Really? I'm showing you clear proof of you making out with another guy, and your first question is how I got the picture. Does it even matter?" I asked, confronting my wife of 7 years. She sighed. "It looks bad. I admit we kissed, but it's not cheating. We were out in public, not having intimacy." "That's your defense? No explanation of who he is or why you're kissing him? Just because you aren't having intimacy on the dance floor, you think this is fine?" "Brian, you're blowing this out of proportion. We got caught up in the moment. You don't need to worry about it," she said firmly. "Innocent? You haven't even told me his name. Why should I not be upset?" "Does his name matter? You might do something stupid and get hurt, and I don't want that," she replied. "Thanks for your honesty," I snapped, and stormed upstairs to pack a bag. She followed me. "What are you doing?" she asked. "What does it look like? I need to leave and clear my head before I do something I'll regret." "Brian, you'd never hit me." "Until today, I thought you'd never cheat on me," I shot back. "Cheat? I didn't cheat on you," she yelled. "And there's the lie." "But I didn't. Kissing isn't cheating." "Then what do you call this?" I handed her another picture from the same night. She stared at it, speechless. How did you? "Does it matter? You lied, and now it's over." She dropped the photos and began to cry, reaching for me. "Stay away from me, Tracy. I gave you a chance to come clean. I might have stayed and worked through it for our son's sake, but you couldn't be honest. I'm taking my phone, and unless it's an emergency with Bobby, don't contact me." She nodded, and I walked out, furious and heartbroken. That Friday night, I checked into a motel to figure out my next steps. Divorce seemed like the right move, but it would mean Bobby growing up in a broken home, and I'd be paying child support and alimony, essentially funding her affair. I wish she had at least offered an apology or explanation, but maybe she hadn't thought it through. That's why I decided to take some time apart and think about what's next. The loneliness hit hard, and I cried myself to sleep. The next day, the texts started pouring in. After earning my engineering degree, I started working at a local chemical packaging facility. After 5 years of hard work, I was promoted to facility manager at a major research center 1,000 miles away. The pay raise was substantial, so we jumped at the chance and moved, leaving behind family and friends. Tracy took a job at a large call center filled with women her age. A year later, we welcomed our son, Bobby. Even though I suggested she stay home, she loved the company of her coworkers, who quickly became our social circle. We often met up with her friends and their spouses for gatherings, and while I had friends at work, our social life mostly revolved around her group. I felt a bit out of place at times, but everyone treated me well. Now those same friends were bombarding me with messages, trying to help after Tracy had shared the details of our marital problems with them. I was stunned that she had kept her affair from me, but had no problem telling everyone else. The only one who hadn't reached out was Tracy, who knew I'd block her. Cassidy, her best friend, was leading the charge. She wanted me to meet them at her house Sunday evening, but I suggested a neutral spot at a restaurant instead, where I could leave if things got uncomfortable. They reluctantly agreed. I had my reasons for attending. I wanted answers. Why did Tracy do this? Where did our friends stand on infidelity? And did any of them know about or facilitate her affair? When I arrived, I noticed they had gotten there early, likely to strategize. Tracy immediately stood to greet me, but I stopped her, asking to sit at the far end of the table. Cassidy quickly accommodated, assuring me dinner was on them. We were seated in a private dining area, and after we ordered, I made it clear I needed answers. I handed out copies of a photo of Tracy kissing another man. "I know you all want to help us work through this, but Tracy shared our personal business with you before even talking to me. That shows how little respect she has for our marriage. Before we discuss anything else, I need the truth. Who is this man? If no one can be honest with me, then there's nothing left to talk about." There was complete silence at the table. Even Cassidy, usually talkative, stayed quiet. No one offered to say they didn't know the man or reveal who he was. I got my answer. Thanks for your time. I hope someone enjoys my steak because I've lost my appetite. Clearly, no one here is interested in helping fix our relationship. I stood and walked away. Tracy called after me, but no one else did. It was obvious now that our friends were really just hers. Tracy and the group were shocked. They had expected a calm conversation, but were unprepared for my direct demand. They would need a new strategy to reach me. After leaving the restaurant, I picked up some fast food and headed home. I paid the babysitter Tracy had hired, then quickly moved my clothes and personal items to the spare bedroom. Over the weekend, I had bought new locks for the spare room and hall bathroom. I installed them, not to avoid talking to Tracy, but to prevent any unwanted advances. Once settled, I spent time with our son, Bobby, before putting him to bed. Tracy arrived home around 10:15 p.m. She rushed upstairs, excited to find me sitting by Bobby's bed, watching him sleep. I waved her off to keep the peace and closed the door quietly. She tried to hug me, smiling. "I'm so glad you're home. Let me fix you something to eat. We need to talk." "I've already eaten. Where have you been? With your lover again?" I asked. "No, I just left the restaurant. They were helping me find the right words to fix things," she insisted. "I'll talk after you tell me his name. Until then, we have nothing to discuss." I can't," she said, visibly upset. "Your loyalty to him is stronger than to me, your husband. I'll be staying in the spare room. Don't touch me. Who knows what you've been exposed to? But I won't let this keep me away from Bobby. If you want to talk, your first words should be his name. Otherwise, don't speak to me." She walked away crying. A week passed. We both interacted with Bobby, but didn't speak to each other. Then, one Monday evening after work, I came home to a surprise. Nothing seemed unusual until I walked into the kitchen where Tracy's group of friends suddenly appeared, surrounding me. My first words were, "Where's Bobby?" "I took him to the sitters. He's spending the night," Tracy explained. Surprised, I realized they had planned this without me knowing. "I didn't see your cars parked outside." Cassidy replied, "We parked a block away so you wouldn't drive off if you saw us." "You definitely surprised me. What's going on? Has something changed?" "Yes, it has," Tracy said. "Can we go to the living room? I'm ready to answer your question." "Sure, but I need to use the restroom first. I'll join you in a minute." I went to the hall bathroom, used it, washed my hands, and discreetly started recording on my phone, slipping it into my shirt pocket. When I joined the group in the living room, I was surprised to see 2 more people. I instantly recognized the man Tracy had cheated with, sitting next to a younger woman. Tracy began, "Brian, this is Elliot Franklin and his wife Gail. They're longtime members of our friend group, but you haven't met them before. I know this is a shock, but you were so determined to know who he was, we thought this was the best way to introduce him. If you try to start anything, the guys will step in. No one wants anyone hurt tonight. So now you give me a name, huh? A little late to worry about me getting hurt, isn't it?" I replied sarcastically. "None of you cared about me getting hurt. Your only concern was keeping Wonder Boy here safe. Don't worry, I'm not going to touch him. I don't want whatever diseases he's passed on to Tracy." Everyone groaned in frustration. Cassidy spoke up. "Brian, we understand you're upset, but let's avoid using harsh language. We want to talk calmly. You asked for his name and now you have it. We thought you'd want to speak with him and that's why he's here, but Elliot can speak for himself." Elliot stood and extended his hand. "I'm sorry this started off badly. I hope by the end of this, we can at least be civil. I'll treat you with respect, and I hope you'll do the same. May I call you Brian?" I didn't take his hand. "Since this is the first time we're meeting, Mr. Franklin, you can call me Mr. Wilson. I can't imagine us ever being friendly. You talk about respect, but you've already disrespected me in the worst way, yet I'm supposed to be civil." "Fair enough, Mr. Wilson. I only meant respect during our conversation, not about the past. I'd like to explain what happened between me and the woman you married. Don't call her my wife. That title might not last, and I find it distasteful. I'm considering divorce, as I'm sure you know. How should I refer to her then? Call her the woman I married for now." "Very well, Mr. Wilson. I'd like to explain what happened between me and the woman you married, in hopes it might make sense to you." "I'm listening, Mr. Franklin. Go ahead." Elliot took a deep breath. "Look around this room, Mr. Wilson. What do you see? A group of exceptionally attractive men and women, including the woman you married. Do you think that's a coincidence? This group was drawn together because of our shared attractiveness and connection. As our friendships deepened, so did our intimacy. Every person here is in a happy, committed relationship, and we believe the same about you and the woman you married." I glanced around. The women were dressed provocatively, but not trashy, clearly accentuating their looks. They all smiled at me as if silently flirting. Elliot continued, "Take my wife, Gail. She's beautiful and I'm committed to her for life. No one, including you, could take her from me. That security allows us to share each other with others in our group. It helps us grow beyond the limits of traditional monogamy, which is outdated. We believe in trust, intimacy, and openness to strengthen our marriages. How nice for you and your wife, Mr. Franklin. And for the rest of this group, if you all freely engage with one another. But that has nothing to do with me or the woman I married." "Mr. Wilson," Elliot responded, "didn't you just admit that you have less trust, understanding, and security in your relationship than the others here? Can't you see how opening up could benefit you both?" He gestured to the group around us. "If that's true, Mr. Franklin, then you're calling every woman here, including the one I married, immoral. I'm disgusted that you turned her head so easily. A real gentleman never interferes in a marriage like you have. I understand where you're coming from, Mr. Wilson, but this isn't one-sided. You're encouraged to embrace these ideas too. You could be with any woman here if you wanted. When you both joined this group, it was only a matter of time before the topic came up. The woman you married had numerous conversations with her coworkers and approached the idea carefully because she was concerned about your reaction. After many discussions, she decided to test the waters with me, thinking it could benefit your relationship. If you hadn't confronted her so harshly, she planned to talk to you about the positive effects this could have." He continued, "She said your aggressive confrontation rattled her and she panicked. If you had approached it differently, we believe you'd see the benefits for both of you. We just need to make you more comfortable with the idea." I looked Tracy in the eyes and asked, "Is this true? Did you talk to them about all this without telling me, and then decide to experiment with Mr. Franklin without discussing it with me first?" Tracy nervously nodded and said, "I heard how much it strengthened their marriages and wanted that for us. I thought experiencing it with Elliot could help us. My love for you hasn't changed. I just wanted to show you how it could improve our relationship." She smiled, hoping to get through to me. "So I'm supposed to believe that one encounter with him turned you into an expert? This wasn't your first time with him, was it?" She looked down, confirming my suspicion. Elliot jumped in again. "Don't you see, Mr. Wilson? She's realized the benefits, and you could too. Plus, there are other advantages you haven't considered." "Go ahead, enlighten me." "Well, she'll gain experience and techniques from her time with me, which will enhance your relationship too." "I see. You think you're some kind of expert, don't you?" "Mr. Wilson, I'm experienced and skilled at helping less experienced partners, like the woman you married, grow. She'll learn and bring that knowledge back to your relationship. Her time with me and others will expand her horizons. Everyone falls into ruts sometimes. She mentioned wanting to try new things." I turned to Tracy. "When did I ever resist trying new things? If you wanted to spice things up, why didn't you talk to me before jumping into bed with him?" She answered quietly, "Please don't take it the wrong way. You're gentle and sweet, which I need most of the time. But sometimes I want something more forceful and direct, which Elliot provided. He wasn't trying to replace you. He's just different, and I enjoyed that. It took all my self-control not to attack the guy. Any hope of saving my marriage for the sake of my son was gone. Inside, I was furious, but I remained outwardly calm. Now that I was set on divorcing Tracy, my goal shifted to gathering information to cause chaos in the lives of those involved in ruining my home. I decided to play along, showing just enough interest to make them believe I was considering their offer. I scanned the women in the room, letting my gaze linger. "So, just to be clear, Mr. Franklin, you're saying I can have any woman here to fulfill fantasies I've never acted on because the woman I married wasn't enough?" Tracy looked hurt, but said nothing. "Exactly, Mr. Wilson. Any woman here is yours for the taking. I've had intimate experiences with all of them. You can even enjoy my wife, Gail. She's been trained to satisfy even the strongest desires," he boasted, clearly expecting me to give in. "Before making any decisions, I'd like to see what each woman has to offer. I'd like to see everyone in action," I said. Franklin chuckled. "You think highly of yourself, Mr. Wilson, but you're not prepared to handle every woman here tonight." "Of course not, but I want to see if what you say is true. Let's have everyone swap partners right now in front of me. That way I can assess who I want to sample first. The woman I married, and I will just observe. The only exception is you and Gail. I want you two in the master bedroom, demonstrating all kinds of physical engage, so I can see the skills you claim to have taught her." Franklin was taken aback. "And how should we decide who pairs with whom?" I smiled and began matching them up with partners they hadn't been with before. I avoided pairing same-sex couples as that wouldn't have added to the chaos I had in mind. Franklin turned to the group, still shocked. "Well, everyone, this is our chance to prove to Mr. Wilson that we're serious. Are we all on board?" They nodded and began undressing. As the couples found spots in the living room, Tracy and I headed upstairs with Franklin and Gail. "Mr. Franklin, you and Gail can make yourselves at home. Tracy will watch while remaining fully dressed, hoping to learn something. I'll be checking on the action downstairs, so don't hold back," I instructed. Franklin replied, "You've made an unusual request, Mr. Wilson, but I understand. I'm sure you'll enjoy the view, and we'll all be doing what we love, sharing and caring for each other." With that, I left them to impress me and headed downstairs to observe. Some couples were still making out, while others were already engaged in intercourse. The couch had 4 couples, 2 bent over the armrests, 2 making out. The love seat and chairs were occupied, and the rest of the group had claimed spots on the floor, fully immersed in the activity. I walked around the room, observing the undressed women like a predator stalking prey, while making sure my phone camera captured everything. It was clear this wasn't their first time engaging in this type of activity. I no longer believed Tracy's affair with Elliot was a one-time thing, but the number of times didn't matter anymore. I was set on divorce. I made my way back upstairs, knocking lightly before entering to maintain the appearance of respect. Inside, I found Elliot and Gail. She seemed to be thoroughly enjoying it, far more than Tracy ever had with me during similar experiences. Despite my disgust, I played the part of an intrigued observer, even pretending to be impressed. I left the room again and returned downstairs, where the others continued their explicit activities. As I moved around the room, I noticed most of the women had fake bosom, which didn't appeal to me, but the natural ones caught my attention. The men were fully immersed in enjoying each other's wives, as if this were just another routine. I watched everything unfold, but decided to maintain my distance, resisting the urge to engage. On my final trip upstairs, I entered just in time to see Elliot finishing his act with Gail, loudly climaxing as she took him fully. I pretended to be impressed again. "You two really know each other well," I commented. "We should. We've been married for almost 12 years, Elliot bragged. I stored that information for later. "Congratulations. It's clear you love Gail deeply," I said, prodding him. "Absolutely. No other woman compares to her, just like I'm sure you feel about Tracy," he added with a smug grin. Tracy, smiling, seemed to believe they were getting through to me. I enjoyed watching downstairs. 3 women in particular caught my eye, and it'll be tough to decide which one to pick first, I hinted. "Why choose just one? We could arrange for you to have all 3 once you decide to join us," Elliot suggested. 3 women at once? "That's always been a fantasy of mine," I replied, pretending to be tempted. I motioned for Tracy to join me, pretending to extend an olive branch, though the thought of touching her repulsed me. A few minutes later, everyone was dressed again, though less polished than before. Tracy and I stood facing the group, who seemed pleased with my apparent change in attitude. "Brian, have you come to see things differently now?" Elliot asked. "Will you and Tracy join us at this new level of intimacy? You won't regret it. Your marriage will only get stronger. Are you ready to enjoy 3 women tonight, or would you prefer to schedule it for another time?" "As much as I'm tempted," I chuckled. "I need more time to process everything. Tracy and I need to talk privately. Once we've sorted things out, we'll let you know." Elliot, clearly disappointed, forced a smile. He wasn't expecting a delay, but had no choice. "Of course, take all the time you need," he replied, barely concealing his frustration. 3 large men suddenly grabbed and held me firmly, preventing any escape. Though I wasn't in danger, the move caught me off guard. Tracy approached, removed my phone from my pocket, and began deleting the videos I had recorded. "Brian, we really do want to trust you, but until you're fully part of our group, we need to protect ourselves. It was obvious you recorded tonight's events, and we just can't risk that," she said. Tracy then nodded at Elliot. He asked, "Is it gone? All of it?" "Yes, there are no recordings left," Tracy confirmed, putting my phone back in my pocket. It was clear to me now that she was fully committed to the group, siding with them over me. I wore the look of defeat that Elliot had wanted. Elliot continued, "Don't be upset, Brian. I believe you recorded it to help decide who to pick when you join us, but we can't take that chance. I'm sure you saw enough to make your choice without the recording. Let us know when you're ready." He patted my back, and the group quietly left. A few of the women flirted on their way out, mouthing "call me" as they left. Once they were gone, I grabbed my keys to leave. "Where are you going?" Tracy asked. "To pick up Bobby," I replied. "I thought we could reconnect tonight. Watching all that really turned me on, and you clearly were excited too." Why not stay and enjoy ourselves? Bobby can spend the night at the sitters, she said, trying to seduce me. I miss my son. Clearly you don't. I'll be back later, I responded, ignoring her frustration as I left. I drove to the Angus Steakhouse, starving after missing dinner earlier. I enjoyed my meal while reflecting on the evening's events, hoping everything was going according to plan. Later, I picked up Bobby, who was thrilled to see me. After getting him settled, Tracy informed me she was making something light for us to eat, but I told her I had already eaten. Clearly upset, she avoided me to not upset Bobby. We both prepared for bed since we had work the next day, but she still wanted to talk. Brian, you seemed interested in Elliot's offer earlier, but now you're avoiding me. What happened? She asked. I'm glad you asked. Let's go through some questions to help clarify things, I replied. Go ahead, she said. Earlier, 3 men grabbed me in my own home and you didn't say a word, right? It wasn't like that, she began. Yes or no, Tracy? Did 3 men grab me? Yes, but did you object or say anything? Yes or no? No, she admitted quietly. Good. Now, did I ask you to take my phone and delete anything off of it? No, she said softly. Exactly. So you stood by while I was restrained, took my phone, and deleted recordings at someone else's request, not mine. Is that true? Yes, she admitted again. One last thing. No one in that room told you to delete anything, so you must have agreed to do that beforehand, without my knowledge. Is that correct? Tracy looked down at her feet. Yes, that's true. I didn't think of it that way, but you're making it seem like I betrayed you. It was a betrayal, Tracy. Let's revisit your earlier questions. Why did I drop you and what gives? The truth is in your own answers. Tonight, you showed that you're on their side, not mine, not ours. Now, if you don't mind, I'll be going to bed alone, again. I don't want to be around someone who so casually stabs me in the back. I left her sobbing in the hallway and locked my door. Around 4 a.m., I heard her try the doorknob, but it didn't open. Tuesday morning, I asked the vice president at work, Dan, do you know a good divorce attorney? One who'll fight hard for a husband? Please tell me this isn't for you, Brian, Dan said. Afraid so. I figured you'd know someone. I've got a good contact, Ted Russ, who handles our legal matters. Let me give him a call. Thanks, Dan, and no need to say it, Brian. This stays between us. Later that day, I met with attorney Beatrice Thorenson. She told me that while most of her clients were women, she fights equally hard for men. She agreed to take my case and laid out the likely outcomes. I'd be paying child support until Bobby turned 18 and possibly some college expenses. I had no issue with providing for my son, and we discussed aiming for 50/50 custody. As for alimony, Beatrice explained that I could expect to pay for 3 to 5 years, depending on the judge, given our income difference. It annoyed me to think I'd be paying her while she continued with that group of swingers, but I'd have to accept it. Thankfully, we didn't own the house, so there wouldn't be a fight over property. Tracy could continue renting it without any ties to me. The thought of ever sleeping in that bed again disgusted me, knowing it had been tainted. Beatrice said divorces take about 8 months if uncontested, a year if contested. I was hoping for the faster route. She also suggested that claiming infidelity might be useful if custody became contentious. I asked her to have the papers served to Tracy at work on Friday at 10 a.m., ensuring her coworkers would witness it. We also discussed living arrangements. Brian, staying in the house with her could be challenging, especially after she's served. Are you prepared to deal with that? Yes, I can compartmentalize my emotions, but I want to stay close to my son during this time. She warned me about the risk. If we had any intimate relations before the divorce, the clock would reset, extending the process. Even if she just claims it happened, the court may believe her, and it would delay things. That won't be an issue for me, but I can see her trying to sabotage the process. I'll stay strong, I said. Be cautious. She could make a claim, and unless you can prove otherwise, it could complicate things. I thanked Beatrice and left. When I got home, Tracy was making dinner, but I avoided her and went straight upstairs for a shower. I'd moved to using the hall bathroom, limiting opportunities for her to trap me. It was time to start living separate lives under the same roof. When I came out of the bathroom, fully dressed, Tracy was waiting for me in the hall. Dinner will be ready soon. Bobby's already in his high chair. You smell nice, she said, trying to flirt. Thanks. I'll be right down, I replied, ignoring her comment and unlocking my bedroom door. There was tension, but she didn't push it. During dinner, she started, I want to explain about the phone situation last night. Go ahead, I said calmly. Elliot told me while we were upstairs that he knew you were recording everything, and it wasn't fair to put the group at risk. After you showed me those pictures, he got really concerned. He said they couldn't leave until the recordings were gone. They were prepared to take your phone if needed, but Elliot suggested I delete the videos myself to avoid a bigger issue. I see. And why would they believe you'd do that to your husband? Because I gave them my word, Brian. Interesting. Didn't you also give me your word when we got married? Silence followed, which I welcomed. Honey, I don't want you to think I'm on their side. Isn't that exactly what it looks like? What if those men had grabbed you in our home? Do you think I would have just stood by? What could you have done, Brian? They could have easily overpowered you. Maybe, but I wouldn't have stood by. I would have fought for you because we were a team. Last night, you weren't on my side. I'm sorry you see it that way, but I've explained why I did it. There's nothing more to say about that, is there? I replied. How did you get those pictures, Brian? I want to know. Wouldn't it be something if one of your own friends gave them to me? How would you feel about that? Who was it? Please tell me, she asked urgently. I can't say, Tracy. Why? I gave them my word, I said, grinning. Seeing she wasn't getting anywhere, she shifted the conversation. Did you enjoy watching everything last night? Wasn't it exciting? I'm not into group lovemaking. All I saw was people acting like animals. My body may have reacted, but emotionally, it did nothing for me. Exactly. It's not emotional for them either. The emotions are saved for their spouses. What you saw was just pure intimacy. We've been invited to join them. It could bring us closer. How's that working so far? Our marriage is barely hanging on. Don't be like that. You haven't tried it yet. You don't know what it's like. You could try one of the women, or even 3 at once, like Elliot suggested. Has our love life been so boring that we need other people to keep us going? It's not about survival, Brian. It's about enhancing what we already have. What's the harm in that? The harm is in destroying trust, Tracy. You've already damaged our marriage. I don't trust you anymore. Since I saw those pictures of you with him, I wonder what you're doing behind my back now. Why didn't you talk to me about it before sleeping with another man? I knew you'd react like this. I thought if I experienced it first, I could bring home what I learned and make things better for us. So you and Elliot think you know better? That you're more enlightened, and I need to be taught? How condescending. Why don't you let me show you what I've learned? I picked up some new techniques from Elliot and watched Gail closely. It's all to improve our love life, not ruin it. Every time I look at you, I see you with him. I don't want to kiss or touch you anymore. All I see is someone who's shared herself with another man. You don't own me, Brian. You never have. You're right. I thought you gave yourself to me, but you've taken that back. You've broken something in me, and I'm not sure it can be fixed. She started crying, and that ended the conversation. For the next few days, I spent all my time with Bobby, enjoying every moment. I researched Elliot and Gail Franklin, trying to find more about them, but came up empty, except for an unrelated man with the same name who was homeless. I would keep looking. I had Tracy served at 10 a.m. Friday, during a facility managers meeting I was attending. The meeting lasted a few hours and included lunch, so I left my phone on silent. When she called, my secretary would confirm I was unavailable. I wasn't avoiding her, but I wanted to give her time to process the situation before speaking. When I returned to the office, I saw several missed messages from her. I called back and she immediately started, clearly stepping away from others to talk. Finally, do you have any idea how humiliating it was to be served in front of my friends? Are you really divorcing me over this? I told you it was nothing, Brian. Why didn't you answer your phone? My secretary should have told you I was in a meeting. I'm at work and I just called you back. I never refused to talk to you. We can discuss this after work when we both have time. I'll talk to you then. She started crying. I don't want a divorce, Brian. Please don't do this. We'll talk tonight, Tracy. Goodbye. Later that day, after dealing with some work issues, I left a bit early and picked up Chick-fil-A for dinner, texting Tracy to let her know. She arrived shortly after me and I brought Bobby inside. She hugged me, but I didn't respond, not wanting to upset our son. I helped feed Bobby and spent the evening with him, knowing a serious conversation was coming. After Bobby was in bed, I found Tracy reviewing the divorce papers. She took a deep breath. I'm sorry, Brian. Is that what you wanted to hear? It's the first apology I've gotten. What exactly are you sorry for? I'm sorry you found out the way you did. I can't imagine how hard that must have been. So, you're sorry I caught you, but not sorry for cheating. Don't put it like that. Elliot said once you understood, you'd join us and enjoy the freedom. Of course he'd say that. The problem is neither of you checked with me first. You put more faith in his word than in mine. You're right. I should have come to you first. Elliot even admitted that after seeing your reaction. He still thinks you'll come around, but now I'm not so sure. Can't we stop this divorce and get back on track? Back on track? Tracy, our marriage is over. You destroyed it when you slept with him and betrayed me again by siding with them. Just sign the paper so we can both move on. I know you don't want Bobby growing up in a broken home. You wouldn't want him calling another man daddy. Think about that. Reconciliation is best for all of us. You should have thought of that before betraying me, but it's better for Bobby to come from a broken home than live in one filled with lies. Even if we didn't divorce, I could never be with you again. I can't trust you. You don't mean that. What if I stop seeing them? Cut them out of my life completely? You and Bobby are the most important things to me. I don't believe you, Tracy. You've already lied to me. It's too late. Just sign the papers. I won't. I'm not giving up on us, Brian. I'll fight this divorce and win you back. It's a shame you didn't have that faith in us before you cheated. You've heard the saying, once a cheater, always a cheater. That's how I'll always see you. She started crying again. What now? I hope you're not expecting me to leave. I'm staying here with Bobby. You're right. Bobby is my priority now, and I'm staying too. We'll continue living here as we go through the divorce. She looked relieved, even excited, as I confirmed I wouldn't be leaving. I continued, don't worry, I'll stay out of your way. I won't expect you to do my laundry, cook for me, or clean up after me. You handle your needs, and I'll take care of mine. We'll both focus on Bobby. All I ask is that you avoid touching me. To me, you're contaminated, repulsive, and someone I can't stay married to. We'll coexist under the same roof until the divorce is finalized, but nothing more. Her initial excitement faded as she processed my words. I hear you, Brian, but divorce is a long way off. A lot can change, and I'm going to win you back. As long as you keep seeing your friends, there's no chance. And if you ever bring any of them here, you'll regret it. I already told you. I'd turn my back on them if that's what it takes. Should I quit my job and be a stay-at-home mom? No, it's too late for that. Plus, it would only increase the alimony I'd owe in the divorce. She didn't like my response, but kept smiling. I decided our confrontations were over. I was focused on my son, and I treated this situation as a temporary business arrangement. We kept conversations brief and polite, saying only what was necessary. We agreed to a few suggestions from my attorney, B. I would pay the rent, and Tracy would cover the utilities. I had the utilities transferred to her name, and we each handled our own food and car expenses. I moved half of our savings into a new account, leaving the rest for her. She wasn't happy at first, but eventually accepted it. Once the finances were sorted, she made her own moves. She began dressing provocatively after her evening showers, wearing skimpy or see-through outfits around me. I ignored her attempts to get my attention. Frustrated, she eventually started walking around the house nude, making sure to flaunt herself. Bobby didn't seem to care either way. Tracy also found reasons to engage me in conversation, but I only responded when necessary, keeping things polite. Eventually, she started loudly touching herself with her bedroom door open, making sure I heard. I found it amusing, thinking of her lover instead of getting aroused. I took care of my own needs privately. One day, I realized the 3 photos of her and Elliot were missing from my drawer. I checked my lock and found scratches. She'd likely hired a locksmith to make herself a key. The next day, I replaced the locks again, keeping the only keys, and waited for her to realize she no longer had access. After a few months of this stalemate, she started asking me to go out with her, to dinner or a movie, but I always declined. Her friends also texted or called me, inviting me out. I blocked their numbers without responding. In December, she invited me to her company's Christmas party. I declined, saying I had plans to babysit Bobby. I knew she was disappointed, likely because their group only welcomed couples, which we were no longer. The following weekend, it was my company's party. I went alone, but she wasn't having it. After dropping Bobby at the sitters, she followed me to the party and tried to make small talk in front of others, but I kept my interactions brief. When I explained the situation to my VP, Dan, he just laughed, saying I had guts to live this way. After the party, I picked up Bobby and brought him home. Tracy didn't react as I expected. She seemed grateful for even the small amount of time spent together in public. Despite everything, Tracy continued walking around the house nude, trying to get my attention. I adjusted the thermostat to make the house cooler, hoping she'd cover up. She started wearing sheer lingerie instead. After 2 weeks, I returned the thermostat to normal, realizing that my attempt had only partially worked. 5 months after being served, Tracy told me she was going out with her best friend Cassidy on Saturday nights, and asked if I could watch Bobby. I casually agreed, as long as she didn't bring any of her lovers or friends to the house. I joined a bowling league on those nights, sponsored by my employer. I had a great time, and Bobby loved the attention from the ladies there. It was much better than sitting at home wondering who Tracy was with. One evening, I got home after her, and she asked where I'd been with Bobby. I told her the truth, and she asked to join me next time. I explained I only went out when she did, which frustrated her. But making her happy wasn't my priority anymore. She often asked how we could reconnect if I didn't give her a chance, and still refused to sign the divorce papers. 6 months in, my attorney, B. Thorenson, informed me that Tracy's lawyer had successfully pushed for 10 mandatory marriage counseling sessions. I had to attend and actively participate. I asked if I could answer each question the same way, and B said it didn't matter as long as I responded. The counselor clearly favored Tracy, but I stuck to one line. I do not wish to remain married to a promiscuous woman. Both Tracy and the therapist became increasingly frustrated with my repetition, but I complied with the law. After 5 sessions, the therapist called off the rest, declaring them unproductive. Following the failed counseling, Tracy doubled down on tempting me with her body, dancing provocatively, and making loud, exaggerated moans during her nightly activities. Although she is undeniably attractive, all I could think of was her betrayal, which made her antics unappealing. The next several months passed without any real changes. I spent all my time with Bobby, building a strong bond. 4 days before our divorce hearing, Tracy moved out and took Bobby with her. I was served with a restraining order, barring me from seeing either of them until the court date. Then B hit me with 2 bombshells. Brian, Tracy's now accusing you of raping her on 3 occasions. She claims you forced yourself on her, hoping to reconcile. She's also alleging physical misuse, backed by hospital records of bruises, tears, and a busted lip. She's seeking full custody, with limited supervised visitation for you. None of it is true, B. You know that. I know, but we're in a tough spot. We'll fight this, but it's an uphill battle without solid evidence. I asked B for the details of Tracy's allegations, which she emailed to me. She also warned me not to contact Tracy or Bobby until she gave the all clear. 2 days later, I walked into the house after work and was shocked to find Tracy sitting at the kitchen table. Her car wasn't outside, so she must have arrived with someone else. My first instinct was to leave, but she stopped me. Brian, listen to me if you ever want to see Bobby again. I stayed calm and faced her, saying nothing. You don't have to speak, just listen, she said. She took my phone and turned it off to ensure there was no recording. I tried to get you to come around, but you were too stubborn, so I had to resort to desperate measures. I made up those stories about maltreatment and misuse to get leverage. I knew you'd never hit me, but I needed to ensure full custody of Bobby. Now, I'm offering you a deal. Cancel the divorce and agree to join our group of friends, and I'll drop the restraining order and move back in. We can raise Bobby together in a happy home. Think about it. Endless access to the hottest women you've ever seen. What do you say? Will you finally come down from your high horse and live in the real world with me? I looked her straight in the eyes, letting her think I was seriously considering her offer. So if I agree to join you and your friends, you're saying I'll have full access to Bobby, no restrictions? Of course. Why would I keep a loving father from his son? He adores you, always asks for you, and it breaks my heart to keep him away. Just say yes, Brian, and everything will be fine again, she urged. I miss him so much. Losing you was hard, but losing him is unbearable, I said, trying to hold back tears. Just one word, Brian, and everything will be fixed, she coaxed. I need time to think. I'm struggling to imagine sharing you with other men. Give me a little time. All right, baby, I get it. You always need to analyze things. We go before the judge in 2 days, though, so I need your answer by tomorrow. Just text me yes, and I'll make everything right. But if I don't hear from you, I'll make sure Bobby grows up hating you, and you'll be paying me to do it. Don't make me do that, Brian. Do it for Bobby, she threatened. She knew how to hit me where it hurt, my son. I told her I'd give her my answer soon, then asked her to leave. As she walked out, I saw Elliot pull up in his shiny Lexus to pick her up. I had a lot to think about. B, my attorney, had informed me my presence wasn't required at the divorce hearing, but I wanted to attend. As I exited the restroom, Tracy suddenly appeared and sneered. You blew your chance, idiot. I'll make sure your son never knows your name. I'll marry a real man who isn't insecure like you and who trusts me. Watch me shred you in court. She spit in my face and walked away, leaving onlookers shocked. I cleaned myself up and hoped B would live up to her reputation. The courtroom was busy, and I listened to several odd divorce cases as I waited. By the time our case started, it was already 1 p.m. Tracy testified first, laying out her false accusations of maltreatment and misuse, complete with dates, times, and lurid details. Her attorney painted a picture of me as violent and unfit to be a parent, while portraying Tracy as a victim doing her best to reconcile. He claimed I falsely accused her of infidelity and that my jealousy had destroyed our family. When B's turn came, she calmly asked, "Are you absolutely sure of the dates, times, and locations of these alleged attacks?" "Yes, ma'am. I documented everything on a calendar," Tracy replied confidently. "You're swearing under oath that your accusations are accurate?" "Yes, I wish it weren't true, but it is." "Thank you. No further questions," B said. Tracy smirked, clearly convinced she had won. Then B called her witness. "I'd like to call Mr. James McMahon," B announced. A man took the stand, and Tracy and her attorney seemed confused. McMahon introduced himself as the owner of a private investigation firm hired by me to investigate Tracy's infidelity. He confirmed he had provided me with photographic evidence of her affair, and that his firm retained the original images in secure storage. He presented copies of the unaltered photos, which the judge accepted as evidence. B then asked if McMahon's involvement had ended there. He explained that I had hired his firm to install surveillance cameras throughout our home to monitor Tracy's activities, capturing calls and interactions. At this point, Tracy's attorney objected, claiming any evidence from the cameras could have been manipulated. "Your Honor, this is unconscionable. Mr. Wilson could have altered these recordings to suit his narrative. I request this evidence be ruled inadmissible." Judge Cora Feldman listened to the objection and turned to B. "Before I rule, let's establish whether there's a basis for the objection. Counselor Thorenson?" "Thank you, Your Honor." "Jim, can you explain the surveillance system installed in Mr. Wilson's home?" Jim replied, "The cameras transmit wirelessly to a laptop hidden in the crawl space, which is connected to our secure cloud servers. Mr. Wilson doesn't have access to the raw footage, only we do. The laptop doesn't store any recordings locally. Mr. Wilson's only involvement was replacing the camera batteries monthly." Judge Feldman smiled at Jim. "Your firm has an excellent reputation. Objection overruled." "Thank you, Your Honor," B said. "Jim, you've heard the accusations against Mr. Wilson. Based on your surveillance, do they hold any merit?" "No, ma'am, they don't." "And how can you be sure?" "My team reviewed footage from the dates and times provided. In every case, Mr. Wilson was seen peacefully playing with his son, while Mrs. Wilson was in another part of the house. There was no evidence of violence or attack." Tracy and her attorney looked defeated. "Jim, do you have any additional insight?" "Yes, I have a transcript of a phone call Mrs. Wilson made before moving out, where she mentioned hating what she had to do, but planned to falsely accuse her husband to gain leverage." "Objection. Hearsay," Tracy's attorney interrupted. Jim responded, "We have the original recording if needed." Tracy's attorney sat down, offering no further objection. "Thank you, Jim. No further questions," B concluded. The judge asked Tracy's attorney if he had any questions. "No, Your Honor," he replied. Judge Feldman addressed the situation. "It's clear that Mrs. Wilson falsely accused Mr. Wilson to sway custody in her favor. Perjury is a serious offense, and I will refer this matter to the district attorney for possible prosecution. Full custody of Bobby Wilson is granted to his father, Brian Wilson. Mrs. Wilson will have visitation rights at Mr. Wilson's discretion. Mr. Wilson, I encourage you to be generous with visitation, as your son needs time with his mother." I nodded in agreement. "As for alimony," the judge continued, "while I'm inclined to award none due to Mrs. Wilson's behavior, I will award $1,000 per month for 42 months. Each party will keep their vehicles, and the accounts will be split based on the balances at the time of filing. No child support will be awarded." "Mr. Wilson, do you wish to stay in the current residence?" I stood. "No, Your Honor, I'll move out. Tracy can continue renting if she wishes." "Very well." "Mrs. Wilson?" Tracy stood shakily, and the judge directed her. "You have 8 hours to return Bobby to Mr. Wilson. Failure to comply will result in contempt of court. Do you understand?" "Yes, Your Honor," she sobbed. "All restraining orders are lifted, and I hereby grant the petition of divorce in the case of Wilson versus Wilson. You will receive your divorce decrees within 30 days. Tracy, in tears, realized she had lost her family. She approached me to comply with the judge's orders. "If it's okay, Brian, I'll bring Bobby to you at the house after dinner tonight. I'd like a few more hours with him before I have to let him go." "No need for that," I replied. "I've already found a new apartment and will be moving there today with some help. Here's the address." I handed her a slip of paper. "Bring Bobby there tomorrow at noon. I'll be settled in by then." She nodded sadly. "For what it's worth, I'm really sorry. This isn't how I thought things would end." "Well, now you can have the exciting life you wanted without me," I said sarcastically. She didn't argue. "Thank you, Brian," she said softly. "For what?" for not going after Elliot and Gail. They're wonderful people, and it's a shame you never got to know them. I have no interest in them, but I am interested in dealing with your workplace. I found out they have a strict non-fraternization policy. Tomorrow, they'll be served with a lawsuit for allowing policy violations that contributed to my marriage's destruction. Ronald Hensley, your manager, will be named as the main culprit. It seems he's had affairs with several women there, including Gail Franklin. Tracy stood in shock, speechless. I continued. Ronald has a wife and 2 kids. Don't worry. I'll make sure his wife knows everything, including his affair with Gail. You might still get your man if his marriage falls apart, but he and your friends could be unemployed soon for their silence in covering for him. You're going to get us all fired? How will I support myself? She pleaded. Don't worry. Your job is safe. I promised your company I wouldn't go public as long as they keep you employed. You'll be fine. Maybe you can start a new group with your friends. Think of all the exciting possibilities without me holding you back. Why would you protect my job and not theirs? She asked. Because Bobby needs his mother in his life. Your job may not pay much, but it's enough for you to live on without asking me for money. One day, when he asks how I treated you in the divorce, I'll be able to say I was fair. If you tell him otherwise, I'll show him proof. What Tracy and her friends didn't know was that I had known her lover's real identity all along, thanks to my private investigator. Engineers solve problems by gathering information, and that's exactly what I did. B, my attorney, sued Tracy's workplace for $1.5 million and settled for a cool $1 million. After her fee, I walked away with $750,000. On the same day I got the check, I wrote Tracy a lump sum for $42,000 to cover her alimony in full. With that out of the way, I could focus on building my dream house. Word spread quickly at work, and several single women seemed interested in me. But after the chaos of my marriage, I'm planning to focus on Bobby for now. Finally, free. As I walked away from the courthouse, I couldn't help but feel a mix of emotions. Relief, certainly. After all, the battle for my son was over, and justice had been served. But there was something else too. A lingering sadness for what had been lost. Years of my life had been wrapped up in a marriage that, despite its cracks, had once held so much promise. Now that chapter was closed, and I was free to start anew. In the days that followed, I moved into my new apartment, a place where Bobby and I could create new memories. It wasn't the spacious home we had once shared as a family, but it was ours, and it symbolized a fresh start. Every morning I woke up with a renewed sense of purpose, knowing that I was doing everything I could to provide a stable, loving environment for my son. Tracy, for her part, honored the visitation schedule. She seemed subdued, her fiery attempts to rekindle what we once had now replaced with a quiet acceptance of the life she had chosen. We coexisted peacefully for Bobby's sake, and while I knew she regretted her choices, I was past caring. My focus was solely on my future, on my son, my career, and, eventually, the idea of finding someone who shared the same values I held dear. The settlement money from the lawsuit helped me build a solid financial foundation, and I found solace in the simple pleasures of life, playing catch with Bobby in the park, attending his school events, and enjoying the sense of normalcy that had been missing for so long. The scars of the past were still there, of course, but they were beginning to fade as I realized that, in the end, I had emerged stronger. Life wasn't perfect, but it was real, and it was mine. As Bobby grew, I made a silent promise to him, to teach him the importance of trust, loyalty, and respect, to ensure that he understood the value of honesty in relationships. If nothing else, this experience had taught me what I would and wouldn't tolerate in the future. One evening, as I stood on the balcony of my new home, watching the sunset, I realized something. I wasn't bitter anymore. Yes, the pain had been real, and the betrayal had cut deep, but I was free now, free to live the life I deserved. The future stretched out before me, filled with possibility. And for the first time in a long while, I smiled, knowing that whatever came next, I would be ready.